like to welcome everybody to the MD-HCP discussion. My name is Jan Bloom, and I am speaking to you from Boca Raton, Florida, and I'm truly honored to be your host. MD-HCP stands for Multidisciplinary Healthcare Panel. So what does this panel consist of? It is comprised of leading healthcare professionals from various specialties from the medical and the fitness field. The purpose of this venue is for you to hear the unique patient and client results that are within their clinical practices, utilizing non-pharmaceutical options and strategies that address the most challenging health conditions, not just locally or nationally, but literally globally. So whether you are a person that is in the healthcare field, the fitness field, or just an individual that is simply looking to improve your health or the health of someone that you care about, I can promise you you're going to benefit from this information. You know, I received so much positive feedback on the discussion that I had with Barbara Schumann on the topic of slowing down or reversing the aging process with Unicity products. And that was one of the reasons that I've invited her to conduct a 3 or 4 part series on this very topic. And so what I'd like to do is just bring Barbara on the line here with us into this discussion and have her first share with you why she is so passionate about this subject, why she feels so credentialed and such an expert on this topic. And Barbara, if you're there, I'd love if you wouldn't mind taking a minute and just addressing your passion about what we're going to be discussing.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, to be brief, at the age of 49, I decided to reinvent my life and do something that I really loved, and I became a personal trainer because I enjoy helping people, and I was always happy when I was exercising. Prior to that, I was a school teacher, and then I managed my former husband's medical practice for many, many years. When the age of 50 was approaching, I knew if I did not take my future into my own hands, I might look back on my life with regret. So I went back to school, and after 18 months of advanced coursework and training, I passed 3 major national certification tests, not only to become a personal trainer, but I was also certified by the American College of Sports Medicine, giving me the ability to work in a medical practice. And I was very blessed to work for nearly a decade with some of the most forward-thinking doctors in a specialty called age management medicine. Clients would fly in from all over the world to spend a day being evaluated by the doctors and then tested and educated by me on how to slow down the aging process with nutrition and lifestyle changes and exercise.
So, Barb, you know, there's so much terminology that people don't understand. I want to know, why do you call it that? Why do you call it age management medicine? Isn't it anti-aging medicine?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. I'm not against aging, but I don't like to say anti-aging because aging is inevitable. If we don't age, that means we're dead. So the doctors who mentored me call it age management because we want to manage or control the way we age, not just leave it up to chance. So the interventions that we choose can make a huge difference in the second half of our life.
Okay, so thanks for clarifying. Would you mind just giving a quick synopsis of what you spoke about in the prior discussion that we had on this topic?
Sure. Very quickly, I focused on the concept of slowing down aging by reducing the inflammation in your body at the cellular level by controlling your blood sugar. I focused on Unicity's flagship product called Balance. I would say this is probably the most important concept in managing the aging process, controlling blood sugar. And I urge you to listen to that recording so you don't miss out on that foundational concept.
Okay, so would you mind now just sharing what we're going to be addressing now within this discussion?
Sure. Unicity's product development team made a very smart move, creating what they call the Prime Health Pack. It includes 3 major products: the Unicity Balance that I spoke about in the prior discussion that was focused. It's called Unicity Balance for cholesterol or control or glucose control. And then the 2 other products that I'm going to be discussing tonight, Unicity Complete, which is the meal replacement drink, along with Matcha, a unique green tea formula. I want to introduce everybody tonight to another scientific theory that has been in the news for a few years. Actually, after about 70 years of research, scientists are recognizing that there is a strong association between calorie restriction and longevity, showing if you want to increase your lifespan and slow down the onset of conditions we associate with aging, then lowering your caloric intake can actually be like the fountain of youth. And I have to admit that every time I've seen an article about caloric restriction to improve health and slow down aging, I get really hostile. I bristle at the thought because I absolutely love eating and I don't want to hear about it. But I knew that it is important research, and if I wanted to include it in this discussion, I would really have to focus and read, and that's what I have done. So there has been a ton of research done on fruit flies, mice, and monkeys. It's really dramatic, and you'll be amazed at the findings. Calorie restriction has been found to alter the expression of hundreds of thousands of genes, some of which are related to longevity, some of which play an important role in metabolism, cell growth, reproduction, and immune response. So the thought that your destiny is 100% written in your genes is no longer just out and out accepted. This theory means you can alter the way your genes were originally written to perform. So if you happen to be from a family where everyone in the family, every man in your family, let's say, died before the age of 55, you don't have to accept that as your destiny. And as I read all this research, I was most intrigued about how rapidly these improvements occur. We're not talking about decades, but really immediately, within days and weeks. The study showed changes in gene expression within days of changes in diet. When I think about Unicity's transformation program, the 12-week program that encourages calorie restriction in the first 2 weeks, if you've participated in that program or you know somebody who has, seeing a type 2 diabetic drop their sugar levels, drop their medication doses, drop 10 to 12 pounds in 2 weeks and feel so energized, you tend to believe these studies. There is a wealth of scientific evidence showing that calorie restriction without malnutrition has power to boost the longevity in nearly all forms of life. And I want to highlight that phrase, without malnutrition, restricting your calories but without being malnourished. So the good news is that pioneering researchers have brought to light a novel class of nutrients called calorie restriction mimetics. And for those of you who want to follow up on that word, mimetics is spelled M-I-M-E-T-I-C-S, mimetics. These substances work by influencing specific genes that ultimately affect cell repair. Including them in our diet has the same effect as calorie restriction without making us suffer with hunger. And you'll be so impressed to learn that Unicity has known this and that the Director of Research and Development, Dan Gubler, is actually a thought leader in this field. And I'm going to connect this theory of calorie restriction with the 2 products we're talking about tonight in just a minute. But first, I want to discuss one big issue with aging. From the time you're born until about the time you turn 30, your muscles are growing. They're growing larger and stronger. But at some point in your 30s, you begin to lose muscle mass and muscle function. This is a condition known as age-related sarcopenia. That term literally means losing muscle mass because of aging. People who are physically inactive can lose as much as 3 to 5% of their muscle mass per decade after age 30. So if at the age of 20, let's say you weigh 126 pounds, and every 10 years you gain about 10 pounds. By the time you're 50, you will be weighing 156 pounds. So 126 to 156, that looks like an additional 30 pounds, right? What is typical, however, is that 126 pounds you weighed at the age of 20, you probably were carrying about 45 pounds of muscle. Now, if you lose 5 pounds of muscle every 10 years, by the time you're 50, you've lost 15 pounds of muscle. So even though you weigh 156 at the age of 50 and you think you've only gained 20 pounds in 30 years, you've actually gained 45 pounds of fat because you have to subtract the 15-pound loss of muscle.
Wow,
does that make
Barbara,
sense?
You're really giving me something to think about. Now I understand why it's so hard to lose weight as you age. I mean, I'm really visualizing and picturing that. Wow, that's interesting.
So you say, a lot of people say, well, my metabolism slowed down. I just can't lose weight. The reason it slowed down is that you have less muscle. Muscle is very metabolic, which means it's burning calories continuously. So if you want to lose fat, it's important to hold on to your muscle and then build more muscle. A person who lifts weights can eat more and not gain weight because their body is like a fat-burning machine. Even when they're lying on the sofa watching TV, they're burning fat. Does that make sense?
Well, it does. I mean, Barb, I am an active person. I consider myself active every day. I taking walks every day with my dog. I exercise in my gym. I'll even sometimes exert myself and walk in the mall, if you call that exerting yourself. But, here I am, an active person. So help me understand, if you think you're an active person, how does this relate to that?
Well, unless you are choosing to do muscle-building activities specifically, like lifting weights, or let's say you're doing body weight exercises like push-ups, squats, or even one of the more strenuous forms of yoga, unless you're doing those things, you're going to experience some muscle loss. Losing muscle, though considered a normal sign of aging, is not something that you just accept if you want to live a long, vigorous life. When your musculoskeletal system weakens, you lose strength and you lose stamina. And seriously, unless you're content to sit on the porch and watch everyone else enjoy life, or sit on the couch watching other people in their reality TV shows, you'll miss out on a lot of living. So I want you to get this concept. The more muscle your body holds, the more easily you can use oxygen for energy, because oxygen is to the body what gasoline is to the car. It's the fuel to make you go. Fat wastes oxygen. Muscle tissue is able to use oxygen. So the more muscle you have, the more efficient your vehicle, your body is, the more energy you're going to have. Okay,
so then how do you keep from losing that muscle? What are things that, we can do to maintain the muscle that we have from our younger years?
Well, that's the focus of my discussion here. Two important things. You need to do resistance training, some form of weightlifting, body weight exercise, and you need to be eating the right kind of protein. Those are the two most important things.
All right, but if I can interrupt, there's a lot of controversy when it comes to protein. People think because they're eating meat, they're having protein, or there's so many different ways that you can get protein. I want to elaborate for a moment on what you think is the right kind of protein.
Okay. Many people think of whey protein, that's spelled W-H-E-Y, whey protein, as a supplement only used by athletes and bodybuilders. But evolving research suggests that the branched-chain amino acids in whey protein, particularly leucine, I don't know if you've ever heard of that word, leucine. It's spelled L-E-U-C-I-N-E. research has shown that whey protein with leucine can not only increase lifespan, but that it can improve the quality of life and decrease the diseases of aging. Now, I wanted to be certain, as I endorsed Unicity products to my clients, that the science and research is behind them. So I spent a lot of time reading research on the ingredients, and I communicated with the Chief Science Officer, Dan Gubler, and my research led me deep into reading so many different academic articles from the National Institute of Health, Journal of Cell Metabolism, Journal of American College of Nutrition, American Journal of Nutrition. I mean, I found more than 30 useful articles on the value of whey protein supplementation, giving me the confidence that it was not just my personal trainer prejudice that whey protein supports the goal of slowing the aging process, but realizing that the scientists now can prove it. So here's what I found. Unicity's particular whey protein supplement used in the product formula called Unicity Complete in both the vanilla and chocolate flavors can promote muscle strength, promote bone growth, supports cholesterol lowering, blood sugar control, it improves mood and cognitive function. According to the Journal of the College of Nutrition, whey protein with leucine is also anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, antioxidative, and helps regulate the immune system. Whey protein with leucine is gaining acceptance as the first whole food calorie restriction mimetic. Now, I'm going back to this concept of calorie restriction. The term calorie restriction mimetic is spelled M-I-M-E-T-I-C-S. Calorie restriction mimetics results in some of the same physiological changes in calorie restriction itself. So one way these substances work is by influencing specific genes so that ultimately they affect cell repair or cell death. So leucine is sometimes referred to as the main amino acid stimulating muscle protein synthesis, not only for people who are actively doing weightlifting, trying to increase their muscle mass really aggressively, but also for those people who are not consuming enough daily protein, or the elderly who just don't have the appetite they need to hold, and so they can't hold on to the little bit of muscle that they have left. In addition, the research that I read showed that whey protein with leucine reduces blood glucose levels, even in extreme cases of individuals with insulin resistance. So for those of you who've had the opportunity to drink Unicity Complete Formula, I'm confident you will agree with me. It's delicious. And if there's one thing I absolutely must do to live a long time and to stay strong is to drink whey protein with leucine every day, then I'm all in because it's delicious.
Well, Barb, I have to second that because I drink it every single day, and not only because of what you said, because it's delicious, but it's so easy to include in my daily routine. I mean, I don't only drink it and get creative by putting in berries and different types of fruits and creating smoothies, but I actually have made myself pancakes with the Unicity Complete. I've made muffins with the Unicity Complete. And instead of taking in the sugar and the flour for making muffins and pancakes, I totally use this. And it's been incredibly satisfying, so healthy, and incredibly low in sugar, and a great source of protein. So there's a lot of neat ways that people can get creative with the Unicity Complete.
Yeah, we need to share your recipe. So you just use egg whites and the Complete, right?
Yes, I use egg whites and Complete. Once in a while, I will put in one egg, and I literally will put it in little muffin pans, and I will bake it for 20 minutes and then keep it in the refrigerator all week long. And if I want a snack in the middle of the day, I will use one of those and put some sugar-free maple syrup or some sugar-free apricot preserves on it, or even just eating it plain, it's delicious. I have actually mixed blueberries and strawberries in them. So there's just so many creative things that you can do with the Unicity Complete to get healthy sources of protein into your diet every single day.
That's cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. Now, as one serving of Unicity Complete has 20 grams of protein with leucine along with 4 grams of fiber. And that is going to create a sense of satisfaction that an ordinary protein supplement just would not. It is a complete meal. With so many people eating on the run, if you can't give them 100% of the recommended daily vitamins and minerals they need in one serving, they're going to end up skipping their vitamins, eating junk because they're starving. They're going to undermine their immune system, lacking the vitamins necessary to stay healthy. So one serving of complete gives 100% of the RDA. But I want to explain to you what Dan Gubler, the Chief Science Officer, shared with me. To get the necessary amino acid leucine from other foods, you would have to eat a lot more of those foods, thus increasing your caloric intake, which goes against the whole longevity principle of calorie restriction. So people will often say, well, I eat plenty of other proteins. Why do I need to supplement? Well, you only need to supplement if you're interested in holding on to your youthful muscles and energy and you aren't concerned about aging. This is interesting. A serving of complete is roughly 10.4% leucine, whereas beef is 1.76%, fish is 1.62%, chicken is 1.48%, soy is a little bit more at 2.97%. So Unicity Complete at 10.4%, leucine has 5 to 7 times the amino acid or the muscle-building capacity of chicken, fish, and beef. I was shocked to find that out. So let me get back to the reasons why you don't want to lose muscle mass as you age. Besides wanting to keep our metabolism burning so we don't start putting on fat, you want to have the energy to do the things you did when you were younger. Going hiking with friends, water skiing at the lake where you grew up, dancing all night, celebrating the wedding of people you love, shooting hoops with kids or grandkids. As you age, you can choose to be an observer or you can choose to be a participant. And I'm going to tell you that one of the saddest sights in my life was watching my dad in his final years of life, who 20 years prior would aggressively slam an overhead return on the tennis court. As he turned 93, he was so weak, he was all bent over, having lost so much muscle in his torso, he could not hold himself upright. He did not have the strength to lift his feet, so he shuffled along as he tried to walk. What if we could hold on to our strength as long as possible, and while doing that, we keep our bones strong, we support our immune system, and research is saying that using whey protein with leucine can keep our brains from shrinking. That blew me away. So science is telling us that if we do our part, we get a minimum of 20 to 30 grams of protein at every meal, yet keep the calorie count for the day somewhat restricted, that is ideal. Now, Unicity Complete has 140 calories. I add to that calories, I add to my Unicity Complete shake almond milk, and as you said, a number of different things, whether it's fruit or vegetables I choose to put in to my shake. But sometimes I'll add ground flax seeds or a tablespoon of almond butter. I love experimenting. But as a base of a meal, it is low calorie. So my final recommendation in this area is doing weightlifting, minimum of 2, but at least 3 times per week is ideal. And within 30 minutes following your exercise, drink Unicity Complete because it actually repairs and rebuilds the muscle that you've just been tearing down with weightlifting.
Wow. Barb, I'm learning so much from you in this discussion. I mean, when I think of protein, really the only thing I think about is how it does help preserve muscle mass. And when you were talking about the fact that it can not just keep our bones strong and improve muscle mass, but keep our brains from shrinking. Now you open up a whole new discussion that I'm going to probably invite you to want to do some more research on.
Okay.
But listen, in the time that we've got left, I know that you have a lot to share about Unicity Matcha. And I know it gives me energy, and I know that it makes me feel absolutely fabulous. I wondered if you could elaborate a little bit scientifically about the Unicity Matcha and how it can be considered aging management or anti-aging or whatever it is you want us to call it.
Well, our matcha tea is no ordinary green tea. You can find green tea everywhere now. It's become so popular. I'd like to distinguish for everyone what makes this so different. First of all, matcha comes in a fine powder form. The entire leaf is consumed. So you can benefit from 100% of its nutrients, including chlorophyll, protein, and dietary fiber. The abundance of chlorophyll in matcha comes from the way it's grown. A few weeks before harvest, the trees are actually covered with heavy cloths. The shaded environment causes the leaves to flood with chlorophyll in an effort to absorb as much sunlight as possible. This gives it that very deep green color. Now, the abundance of chlorophyll is one of the reasons that I'm going to go out on a limb and call it a calorie restriction mimetic. I didn't read anywhere, it didn't say in the research that it is a calorie restriction mimetic, but from what I'm learning, I'm thinking that it is because it is a mimetic because it is carrying oxygen to your cells, regenerating them and building your blood. If it's regenerating your cells, I'm thinking maybe it's going to be regenerating your genes, but I don't know. Maybe I'm out on a limb. But it is what it's doing is it's purifying and neutralizing free radicals, eliminating toxins, healing the damage from oxidative stress. Now, the antioxidants in it are called catechins. These are a class of polyphenols known to eliminate free radicals that really cause the aging process. So these catechins are going to slow the aging process. But they're also known for something else that you're going to like, and that is to optimize metabolism. Research from the National Institute of Health validates that catechins will improve metabolism and reduce obesity. One study I read claimed that drinking matcha tea prior to exercise resulted in 25% more fat burning during exercise. I always drink matcha on the way to the gym, and while I'm exercising, I drink it for the purposes of hydration. Now, the naturally occurring caffeine and theophylline in matcha stimulate alertness and mental clarity, unlike classic energy drinks. One reason you might be feeling younger, Jan, is the clarity of your mind, that it allows you to keep up with the mental speed of your two young attorney daughters who have very fast minds. The coffee and energy drinks that you're drinking will stimulate you quickly, but then you crash. This has a 3 to 4 hour mental focus that allows you to feel productive like when you were younger. I mean, when you think of aging, you think about your grandma or grandpa nodding off in the rocking chair. With matcha, the ability to do all those late night things that you did when you were a teenager, that's going to make you feel young again. I'd say my favorite feature of matcha is what's called the ingredient L-theanine. L-theanine, according to research, neutralizes that speedy bad effect of caffeine without reducing the mind-energizing or fat-burning features. So L-theanine's effect calms you. It can be visualized on a brain wave test, the EEG. Brain waves are smoothed out but not flattened. The body is relaxed, the mind is calm, but no drowsiness occurs. People say they have kind of a Zen effect with the L-theanine. It's considered a mood enhancer, affecting serotonin, the happy hormone, and other neurotransmitters in the brain. Now, loss of memory is often attributed to aging, but there are other causes like stress and depression that can cause memory loss. While researching L-theanine, I was impressed with the science that showed its positive impact on memory retrieval. And then there was a study I read about, a Chinese study of 14,000 people that identified this amino acid as reducing the risk of stroke by 40%. So it's reparative and protective of the brain. Now, L-theanine is shown to be a powerful antidote to the destruction that happens from alcohol, the destruction to the liver. This is interesting. It restores the liver's all-purpose antioxidant and detoxifier known as glutathione. So drinking alcohol causes significant suppression of glutathione. And, if suppression is infrequent, if you drink occasionally, then it's only going to happen a little bit and the liver will bounce back. But if suppression of glutathione is chronic, the liver cannot overcome the stress and it starts to break down, and the effects of years of alcohol are felt throughout the body. And aging is speeded up. Now, L-theanine counteracts the alcohol-induced loss of glutathione. I think that's important, especially if we're talking about wanting to be young and do fun things late at night like teenagers. we want to be drinking matcha. Lastly, our matcha formula contains resveratrol, which is known as an antioxidant found in the skin of red grapes and berries. It's supposed to have anti-aging properties. It's just another valuable feature of the Unicity matcha. So with all the energy that you're going to get from Unicity matcha, you'll be able to find extra hours in your day to exercise, which will keep your bones strong, your muscles building, and your metabolism burning higher. So both the Unicity Complete and the Unicity Matcha support you in your everyday life to make healthy choices in your daily routine so that you can go and lift weights and go and do the cardio intervals, which will keep you fit and young. I have to say that the more I study the research behind our products, the more impressed I am with them. It's easy to endorse something that makes you feel good, that tastes good, and makes you look better. But it is really reassuring intellectually to understand the research and science behind why they are so extraordinary. So I think that's probably enough for this evening.
Barbara, I can tell you that, you bring such clarity to this topic of age management, and I think that you do such an interesting, you have an interesting way of bringing the Unicity products to life, to validate them and help people clearly understand the importance of integrating them into their daily lifestyles. So on behalf of everybody that listens to this discussion again and again and again, we thank you for taking the time to do the reading and do your research and studying and finding the time to have those conversations with Dr. Daniel Gubler, our Chief Scientific Research Officer. We appreciate the value that you bring to all of our lives.
Thank you.
On behalf
of
everyone, a big thank you, and we look forward to the next discussion with you on this topic of age management.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jan. Good night.
Good night.